Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the Momentum Shift is what you've been looking for.
My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a two-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life, because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you. Now, every Friday, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready for either an interview of these incredible people, a solo episode with myself, or maybe a remix of multiple interviews of these incredible, inspiring people. Begin. The goal is simply to help improve lives, and we're going to leave you with some nuggets for success. It's going to help you create that momentum shift that's going to really change your life. I'm really grateful to have you join me. I'm looking forward to having your feedback and helping to improve the show. And the one thing I'm really grateful about is I get to hear your stories of how you created that momentum shift that changed your life. So get ready, because the momentum shift is what you've been waiting for. Are you feeling stuck, dreaming of a life beyond your current boundaries? I'm Eric Collier, and I've been where you are. Now, as an international speaker, 3-time international best-selling co-author, veteran, and the host of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I've dedicated my life to helping people just like yourself embark on a transformative journey to unlocking your inner greatness. With my wealth of experience and a proven track record, I guide individuals to break through barriers and create life-changing momentum shifts. Having been featured in news and magazine articles, on television shows, and spoken on stages like the National Press Club and Columbia University, my message has inspired people worldwide to turn the impossible into possible. On my show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I'm committed to sparking a movement that empowers others to shift momentum in their lives, offering motivational insights, interviews, and thought-provoking discussions. If you are ready to redefine what's possible and unlock your potential, then subscribe to my mailing list for exclusive content and updates. Join a community of motivated individuals just like yourself on the path to greatness. Subscribe now and transform your life at CEricCollier.com. That's CEricCollier.com. Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and I'm excited to have you joining me this week as we explore this game-changing topic that I'm really excited about. It's leadership optimization. And if you don't know or understand how powerful leadership optimization is, I want you to know that it's about developing and enhancing your leadership skills so that you can maximize effectiveness, maximize your efficiency, and maximize the fulfillment in your personal and professional life. Here's what I want you to do. Think about this question and this quote. The question is simply this: what if you could unlock your full potential and amplify your impact as a leader? What would you be able to accomplish? What would you and your team be able to accomplish? How successful would it be? Here's the quote I want you to think about. Leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It's about one life influencing another. And that quote is from John C. Maxwell. And I like it because it should trigger a few things. And if no matter where you are in your level of leadership, it's going to trigger the question, who am I leading? 2, what exactly is leadership? And 3, What are my responsibilities as a leader? It's a refresher for you. And so when you think about leadership and you think about what you're doing with your life, you're leading a life of happiness. You're leading a life of success. You're leading an organization. You're leading a group. You're leading a team. You're leading a family. You're leading something every day. When you get up, your responsibility is to lead. So everybody in here on this call, on this podcast, is a leader in some way, shape, form, or fashion. How successful we are comes down to our ability to optimize our leadership ability. So today, we're going to unlock the secrets of leadership optimization. And again, it's a game changer if you focus on it and really pay close attention to your ability to maximize and enhance your effectiveness, efficiency, and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So if you're ready to break through your limitations, amplify your impact, and change lasting success, I'm telling you, you want to join this segment. So stand by. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dive in deeper into leadership optimization. And we're going to start with talking about the blind spots that we are facing right now, or that we have right now, that we can uncover and really work on breaking through. Hello and welcome back to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, C. Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation. And thank you again for joining us for this episode of Leadership Optimization, where we're diving into the secrets of uncovering our full leadership capability so that we can really create momentum shifts in our organization, in our family, or just in our lives in general. So when we talk about leadership optimization, the first thing we got to do is look at the things that might be holding us back, or ask the question, what's holding me back from achieving my full leadership potential? And that's a key question because we got to look at the blind spots. So let me ask you, what's holding you back from achieving your leadership potential? Here's what I wanted to share with you. There's a story that I love, and that is the story of Christopher Gardner, who is the CEO, or somebody you know as The Pursuit of Happiness was his movie, as his book, is his story. And as you know, he was homeless, he lived in shelters, and he also slept in the bathrooms of the metro stations or on the train with his son sometimes. And what he did was he basically shifted his mindset. He took a look at where he was in his life, and he decided this is wasn't where I wanted to be. He wanted to lead a better life. And so in doing that, he decided to tap into what was holding him back. And what was holding him back was simply taking his shot. And so he took his shot at becoming a stockbroker. He worked as an intern, a unpaid intern, and he was actually in a program where he wasn't even sure if he's going to have a job once it was over. But he busted his butt. He went out there and made it happen. And as a result, he changed his life. He not only did he become a paid stockbroker, he became a successful stockbroker, eventually opening his own firm and selling it for multi-millions of dollars. So, how did he do that? Well, it started with him developing a clear vision of what it was he wanted to do. He took a look at where he was in his life, and he realized this is not where I wanted to be. This is not how I want to live. This is not how I want my son to live. And he just made a decision at that point. I got to do something different. And sometimes making a decision to do something different, you can live in a life or do something and believe that you're happy. Until that moment, you find yourself in a different environment and you see people who are really happy. And that's what kicked it off from him. He actually found himself in an area where stockbrokers were going to work, coming in and out of the building, and he noticed the happiness on their faces, the joy as they walked into the building and coming out of the building. And then he saw a gentleman with a car that he liked. So those things woke him up to the fact that, hey, there's got to be something better than what I'm doing. And from that, he started digging into finding out what it was they were doing, and understanding how he could become a stockbroker as well. So developing a clear vision that you no longer where you want to be, you no longer want to be where you are, and that there's something out there for you is going to be key to really unlocking those blind spots. Unlocking those blind spots. And then something he did. I told you he was homeless. He lived in the shelter. He had to go to work as an intern, bust his butt, and get off of work at a certain time, or he wouldn't get a room in the shelter. And that's why he would find him and his son sleeping on the metro train, sleeping in the bathroom on the metro station. So he embraced the fact that he had to be resilient and he had to adapt to the changing situations he was in, because he got kicked out of his apartment. He got kicked out of the hotel he was staying in. He had no place to go. He was walking around with his clothes that he wore every day, the same suit every day. And so that was key, embracing resiliency. A lot of people want change, but they're not willing to go through the things that you had to get it. You see, you've got to dig deep. You got to have a mindset that says, look, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen, and nobody's going to stop me. One of the mantras that I live by is I just keep pushing because no one's going to do it for you. And that's what you got to do. You got to take on that mindset and be resilient, be able to bounce back every time something happens so that you can really experience a momentum shift, because that's how it works. Just because you get knocked down once, you don't give up. You got to keep fighting. You got to adapt, adjust, and overcome. And eventually you'll create the wins that you need to create the momentum in your life. You got to understand that where you are now is only temporary. Here's what I like. This whole thing about leadership optimization is about what John Maxwell calls elevating our lid, our leadership lid. And what he means by that is, if you think about the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and he said, if you think about your leadership ability, where you are right now as a leader, let's say it's a level 3 leader or 4 leader. Well, if you put your hand at the parallel at your chest and you set it there, and then you take your other hand and you start bumping your hand, the back of that hand up against it. Well, if you're a level 4 leader, this other hand being your organization, this other hand being your team, this other hand being your community, or whatever it is that you're leading, the program, project, whatever it is. The best it'll ever be is a 3, maybe a 4, but it'll never be a 5, 6, or 7, which is what you want to be successful. So you've got to elevate your mindset into believing that you've got to become a better leader. And that's what leadership optimization is. Thinking back to what Christopher Gardner did when he interviewed with the owner and the managers or the leaders of the brokerage. They asked him if he knew anything about stockbroker. No, he did not, but he told him, I've been working on it and learning on my own well before this. That's the drive. That's the determination you have to have. Work all day, whether you got 1 or 2 jobs, and then put the time in afterwards to learn, to elevate your life. That's going to be key. Understanding that you got to be under construction for life, working on yourself to be able to maximize your full potential and elevate your leadership level. So get it. Understand this. Through your resourcefulness and your passion for what it is you want to accomplish, being determined, you can lead by example and turn failures into learning opportunities. You can lead by example and turn a life you're not happy with or organization you're not happy with into one that is successful, one that has working to unlock potential of those involved, the team, your organization, your managers, your supervisors, your other leaders. You can unlock their full potential as well simply by leading by example and letting people know, I care about you. I want to help you. You can trust me. Those things are going to be key because that's what all they want to know. Do you care about me? Can you trust me? Can you help me? Yes, I can. And you start connecting with those members and they'll start following you as the leader that you are because you're putting in the work, you're growing, you're producing, and you're developing people. Those are going to be key for you. So let me ask you this. What if you could do what Christopher Gardner did? How would that change your life? How would that change your organization? Think about it for a second, because just because it's been done doesn't mean you can't do it too, right? It can happen for you, but you've got to become that individual who's resilient, who's determined, who's under construction for life. That's how you're going to unlock the true leadership capability that's in you. So what else did Christopher Gardner do? Well, I won't even talk about Christopher Gardner anymore. I'm going to leave him alone. But when I think about what you're doing, right, you've got to re-energize the vision inside of you. You know, sometimes we get stuck in life and we're working on ourselves to get to a certain level. We've gone to school, we've gotten certifications, we've got degrees, and we've gotten a job, we got this leadership position, and we stop. Why is that? Well, you got to ask yourself the question, what drives the purpose and vision that I have as a leader? Well, the good question you got to ask too is, do you have a purpose and vision as a leader for your team, for your company, for your organization, for your family, right? Think about this. You know, you're not just leading as leading an organization. You're leading a life of happiness. You're leading a life of success. You're leading a life of meaning and fulfillment. You're leading a corporation. You're leading an organization. You're leading something in your life. More importantly, you're leading you. So when you think about what drives you, if you don't have anything driving you, you'll stop learning. You'll stop moving forward. You'll become stagnant and you will lose momentum in your life. So the one thing you've got to do is identify what drives my purpose and my vision as a leader. So I want to give you this one. I like this story as well. If in 1997, Apple rehired Steve Jobs. You know, Steve Jobs created Apple, right? And not only that, he was really moving it forward and they fired him. Well, what they realized was that sales dropped. They didn't have the creativity anymore. They wasn't really accomplishing what they thought was going to happen without him. And so they decided to bring him back. Now, when they brought him back, his creativity elevated. His passion was stronger. And Steve Jobs came back. It just took Apple to another level. And you look at Apple and what it is now, it's a lifestyle. It's not just some computer. It's not an iPad. It's not a iPod. It's not I don't know what else you can call it, but it's a phone. It's a lot of things. And it's a lifestyle because they all connect. They do so many different things. But that's because of the re-energize purpose and vision that Steve Jobs brought to Apple, because they didn't have that. Think about this. I heard John Maxwell talk about when a company's going downhill and an organization comes in and to save them, the first thing they do is they get rid of the leader. And the reason they get rid of the leader is because the company would not be failing if the leader had the ability to take it to another level. So when they brought Steve Jobs in, they brought him in to take things to another level, and he did that. And so you've got to ask yourself, how do I stay focused and motivated when I'm faced with challenges? Because you are going to face challenges. You're going to be laid off. There's a possibility you could become homeless. You never know. They say you're one check away sometimes. But how do you bounce back? How do you overcome adversity? What do you do when you have a setback? What do you do when you're not getting the victories you want? Well, I can tell you this. You got to get up, get out and go get what you want, because nobody else is going to do it for you. So when you start taking a look at your vision and your purpose in life, ask yourself, is it driving me? Because if it's not driving you to get up when you get knocked down, if it's not driving you every day to get out there and do the things that you may not want to do, but you know you got to do them anyway and you do them, then, hey, you might want to take a look at changing that purpose and vision that you thought was the right way. And hey, something I tell my daughters as well, and the people I coach, you know what? You don't always know the answers when you're moving forward. You think you have the idea of what your purpose and vision is. The key here then is to just get started working towards that purpose and vision. And as you start working in that purpose and towards that vision, what will happen is the true purpose and your true vision will come clear. And then that way you can move from that. But it's better to get working towards something that you're not really sure about than to stay stuck trying to find the right thing. If you get started moving towards a specific goal, a meaningful goal, eventually your true purpose and vision will become clear, and you can start moving forwards towards that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're talking about, the blind spots that we're facing when it's time to elevate our lives, elevate our team, because we're talking about leadership optimization. We want to create an environment of where leaders are developing leaders. And that's a key. Leaders who develop leaders, they're more productive. That organization is more productive. That organization is working together. They're developing, and you got a stronger bond as well because they know I got your back. And that's the key as a leader. Develop leaders who develop leaders who develop leaders who develop leaders. I'm telling you, when you do that, you'll experience a level of success you never even truly believed would even was possible. So with that, let's take a break, and we'll come back and we're going to talk about enhancing adaptive capacity, collaboration, problem solving, and we're going to finish up this whole episode. Welcome back to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation. And again, I'm excited about this topic, leadership optimization. But you can't talk about leadership optimization without talking about two books that I believe will really help you elevate your leadership ability or maximize your leadership skills. The first book is The 5 Levels of Leadership. The second book is The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, both by John Maxwell. I love them both simply because it really breaks leadership down into what it really is. Remember that quote I mentioned earlier by John Maxwell, where he said that leadership is not about positions, titles, and flowcharts. It's about one individual influencing others. So when you think about it and you break leadership down, leadership is all leadership, it really is influence. That's what it is. That's what it's about. Influence. How one individual influences others to do great things. So think about this. There's 5 levels of leadership. And many people who think that the position of leadership is the most important role, makes them the best leader, the great leader. Well, I can tell you that the position at level 1 of the level 5 levels of leadership is all about the authority. And what I mean is that individual who has the position of leadership is the positional leader, has the authority over those that are supposed to follow them, but they only follow you because you have the authority, because you have that position, that title. And so because they follow you because you have authority, not because they want to, then you're not getting their full capability. You're not really tapping into the individual's talent, skills, and abilities that will really elevate their performance and really help with production. So as the level 1 leader, what you must do to move to level 2 is to really connect with your team. You see, you can't move to level 2 if you don't show that you love the people that you connect with. Now, I'm not talking about going out there and fall in love with them and get them married and kumbaya. No, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is going out and understanding what they need when it comes to communication, understanding what drives them, understanding what inspires them and motivates them, why they do what they do, why they come in there every morning, day after day, to deal with somebody that has the authority over them that they really don't connect with. Think about that for a second. But it's key because as you go out there, you think about connecting with them. I want you to understand 3 things that they're asking or 3 things that they think about when they see you. 1, can you help me? 2, can I trust you? 3, do you care about me? That's what they want to know. And if you understand and you're able to answer the question yes to that, that means you've gone out and you've connected with that group, that team, that people of individuals you're supposed to be leading. That's going to help you move to level 2, which level 2 is the permission level of leadership. You see, building that connection, understanding what motivates them and inspires them, where they want to go with their career, what they want to do with their life. They can now say, yes, I trust you. Yes, you care about me. Yes, you can help me. And so by doing that, what you'll now see is they'll give you permission to lead them. They'll look to you for questions and guidance. And that's going to help you out, because that's going to put you on the path to becoming a great leader. But it doesn't stop there, right? The next level of leadership is the level 3, which is the production level of leadership. That level 3 leader is someone who has also proven to the team that I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and get in there and get to work just like you. When I tell you that you need to stay late, I'm not going home while you stay and do the work. I'm joining you. And that's the leader that builds a bond with the team. They make a connection. And not only that, they can look at you and go, hey, this person's putting out just like I put out. This person cares just like I care. And so when you do that, you become that level 3 production leader, which is important. That level of respect that you get with that ground of trust that you put together. Oh my gosh, that law of solid ground is going to be important to you, and I'll talk about that later. But you build a team that is developing, you're empowering them, you're helping them out. And what happens is you'll move to level 4, which is the people development stage of leadership. You see, as a person who develops others, I truly believe that it's important that you are developing people to take your position, because the position that you're in, the level that you're at, you're not supposed to be there for life. You've got to bring somebody to your level to continue to move up. You see, it's important that you develop people, because as you develop them, they're not stagnant. That means they're not stagnant. That means they're growing. They're learning. They're coming to work every day looking forward to being there, as opposed to looking forward to going home. You're developing people. You're tapping into their skills. You're empowering them with projects and tasks. You're elevating them. You're making sure they're getting great mentorship, coaching, training, and developing them to move up as they into their own level, position, level of leadership, permission and production, and to eventually get to the same level you're at, where you're moving up as well. So the production or the people development leadership is level 4. And then the 5th level is pinnacle. That's what I look at as like the multi-level marketing of leadership, because I look at it as if I coach and train and develop 3 people, they'll coach and develop and train 3 people, and they'll do the same things. What you're doing is you've created an organization or community of growing leaders developing leaders. And in that, they're really embracing you, appreciating your work. They're carrying on your work, sharing your work. And that makes you a pinnacle, that legacy leader. And so those are the 5 levels. And I think it's important. It's just a brief overview. It's nothing, a deep training, but you got to read the book, The 5 Levels of Leadership, because this book has shaped lives for years, as well as the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Understand that leadership is influence. 2, that everything rises and falls on leadership. If your organization is producing, they'll come to you as the leader and, hey, you're doing a great job. But if they're coming and they're failing, the organization is not producing, guess who's getting replaced tomorrow? That's right. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's what John Maxwell teaches. And I truly believe that. If you think about organizations that were stagnant, you go back to Apple in '97 when it was struggling. They bring in Steve Jobs. He re-energizes the vision and he starts moving the company in a different direction. doing great things. You look at McDonald's when Ray Kroc took it over. They were just in California, but Ray Kroc saw an international McDonald's, and it's just blown up to what it is now. Look at the different organizations and as it grows. You look at Nike. When it first came out, it was just focused on running. Now Nike, Michael Jordan, all these levels of shoes that you've got, it's created a drive in the shoe community where now you don't just wear shoes for a sport, they're wearing shoes for dress, right? Think about that. So leadership, it's about influence, 5 levels of leadership that you need to understand. Then you need to move to not level 2, but you need to take a look at the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. The 21 irrefutable laws of leadership are important. 1, because what? Everything rises and falls on leadership. 2, leadership is about influence. And 3, a lot of times when you're stagnant, you don't equate what you're doing to leadership. You just equate it to, you just connect it with, hey, I get up and do what I do because I know this is what I need to do. And sometimes you do what you do because your gut instinct, which is law number 8, tells you, I can't explain it, but I know this is the right way to go. In fact, Malcolm Gladwell talks about it in his book, Blink, help you get an understanding of it. But sometimes you just got to trust your gut instinct and move with it. But the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, you take a look at what you're really trying to accomplish in life. You're trying to go from where you are now to what you could become. And what you could become is just, we don't know. But the important part is you find value, meaning, and purpose in your life when you're working towards what you could become. So when you look at that, what are you going to need? You're going to need momentum. You're going to need to connect with people. You're going to need to really get buy-in from your team, from your organizations, from those you work with, investors, on what it is you want to do. Not only that, you're going to have to be a continuous learner. So we'll talk about the laws of leadership. The one thing that you're going to you're ultimately trying to do, what? Law number 20, the law of explosive growth. If you create these victories, if you create this momentum, eventually what happens is there's a law of explosive growth where you as a leader are experiencing high level performance across the board from your teams. They're productive, they're leading leaders, they're really building a team, they're connecting, they're bonding, they're helping others. And that's what you want. Now, it's not going to always be perfect. You're not always going to get the great results. That's why John Maxwell says sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's important to understand that these laws of leadership, law number 1 is the law of the lid, being a continuous learning, putting yourself under construction for life to build and grow and become this great leader that you are. It's going to require a lot of developing, getting yourself in the process, which is law number 3, the process. So it's going to be important for you to get yourself in the process. The law of the process says, look, growing happens daily, not overnight, right? So you got to work on yourself every day. Then there's the law of influence, which is number 2. I mean, there's so many different laws that really will, if you understand them and you implement them, will help you grow and help your team grow. One of my favorites, again, I tabbed this show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, because I understand the power in going from stuck to doing those things that, putting things in motion of growing, taking action, learning, connecting with people to understand new perspectives, to gain new ideas, to get innovative, just to do different things, to open your mind to new things, to change. I understand the power in the creating the momentum you'll need, and start doing those things that you once believed was impossible for you to do. So this show centers around going from stuck to moving forward, accomplishing great things, but it starts with you being able to lead you. You are the hardest person you'll ever lead. You know why? Because you can talk yourself out of things. You can keep yourself from moving forward. You can sabotage your efforts. You can talk yourself out of doing the right things. But if you understand what drives you, that vision, where it is you want to go in life, and you start shaping yourself into being this great leader, doing the right things, which is motivating and inspiring yourself, for learning how to become this leader that you need, and then start implementing the tools that are provided to you. You got tools for assessment, right? Understanding your behavior style, understanding your personality traits, how you communicate under pressure, how you communicate when you're trying to get things done. Those things are key to you, because once you understand that, you can implement that and start moving forward. Developing a communication style that understands what your team members need in situations of stress, in situations of worry, in situations where they're just not understanding and the communication is tough. Being able to slow down and break it down. That's going to help you develop as well. So as a leader, you must enhance your communication skills. You must enhance your collaboration skills, and then you'll understand how to improve your leadership ability. So the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, I'm not going to go through them all, but I can tell you connection is in there. I can tell you that the law of buy-in, the law of the picture. So many people are trying to find the right person to join the team, but they don't know what the right person looks like. And so you're finding yourself recruiting and hiring individuals that look good on paper, but in the interview, they're giving you so many different cues that say they're not really the right person. But that's your opportunity to develop them if you bring them on and have this program in place that you're developing leaders. You're helping people understand who they are, how they can become better. You're empowering them, showing them that you care, showing them that they can trust you, showing them that you can help them. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, the momentum shift, creating leaders is what it's all about, right? Leadership optimization, maximizing your true leadership ability, enhancing your effectiveness as a leader. I'm telling you, this is the way to go. The 5 levels of leadership, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Take a look at those books, and then, hey, go back and listen to this episode again. Take some notes and connect with me. Go to Facebook under the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show on Facebook. Leave me a message. DM me, what have you. I just want to know what you took from this show. And let's connect to find out if we can really set up a time to explore how to set up your profile, your behavioral assessment, to see where you need to go from here. We can develop a game plan and move forward with really uncovering your true leadership skills. You can also go to my website at CEricCollier.com, and you can schedule a discovery call with me there as well. Again, we'll discuss that behavioral assessment. We can set up a development plan as well as we move forward. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to always just keep pushing, because you're on the brink of a great momentum shift that's going to change your life. But you got to start with leading you first, because you're leading a life of success. You're leading a life of happiness. You're leading a family. You're leading an organization, a team that you want to be successful. So today and every day, always go to work, because nobody's going to do it for you. Until next week, I'm Eric Collier. Take care.
My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a 2-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years, because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life, because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you. Now, every Friday, I want you to be ready. I want you to be ready for either an interview of these incredible people, a solo episode with myself, or maybe a remix of multiple interviews of these incredible, inspiring people. Begin. The goal is simply to help improve lives, and we're going to leave you with some nuggets for success. It's going to help you create that momentum shift that's going to really change your life. I'm really grateful to have you join me. I'm looking forward to having your feedback and helping to improve the show. And the one thing I'm really grateful about is I get to hear your stories of how you created that momentum shift that changed your life. So get ready, because the momentum shift is what you've been waiting for.
Are you feeling stuck, dreaming of a life beyond your current boundaries? I'm Eric Collier, and I've been where you are. Now, as an international speaker, 3-time international best-selling co-author, veteran, and the host of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I've dedicated my life to helping people just like yourself embark on a transformative journey to unlocking your inner greatness. With my wealth of experience and a proven track record, I guide individuals to break through barriers and create life-changing momentum shifts. Having been featured in news and magazine articles, on television shows, and spoken on stages like the National Press Club and Columbia University, my message has inspired people worldwide to turn the impossible into possible. On my show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I'm committed to sparking a movement that empowers others to shift momentum in their lives, offering motivational insights, interviews, and thought-provoking discussions. If you are ready to redefine what's possible and unlock your potential, then subscribe to my mailing list for exclusive content and updates. Join a community of motivated individuals just like yourself on the path to greatness. Subscribe now and transform your life at CEricCollier.com. That's CEricCollier.com. Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and I'm excited to have you joining me this week as we explore this game-changing topic that I'm really excited about. It's leadership optimization. And if you don't know or understand how powerful leadership optimization is, I want you to know that it's about developing and enhancing your leadership skills so that you can maximize effectiveness, maximize your efficiency, and maximize the fulfillment in your personal and professional life. Here's what I want you to do. Think about this question and this quote. The question is simply this: what if you could unlock your full potential and amplify your impact as a leader? What would you be able to accomplish? What would you and your team be able to accomplish? How successful would it be? Here's the quote I want you to think about. Leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It's about one life influencing another. And that quote is from John C. Maxwell. And I like it because it should trigger a few things. And if no matter where you are in your level of leadership, it's going to trigger the question, who am I leading? 2, what exactly is leadership? And 3, what are my responsibilities as a leader? It's a refresher for you. And so when you think about leadership and you think about what you're doing with your life, you're leading a life of happiness. You're leading a life of success. You're leading an organization. You're leading a group. You're leading a team. You're leading a family. You're leading something every day. When you get up, your responsibility is to lead. So everybody in here, on this call, on this podcast, is a leader in some way, shape, form, or fashion. How successful we are comes down to our ability to optimize our leadership ability. So today, we're going to unlock the secrets of leadership optimization. And again, it's a game changer if you focus on it and really pay close attention to your ability to maximize and enhance your effectiveness, efficiency, and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So if you're ready to break through your limitations, amplify your impact, and change lasting success, I'm telling you, you want to join this segment. So stand by. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to dive in deeper into leadership optimization. And we're going to start with talking about the blind spots that we are facing right now, or that we have right now, that we can uncover and really work on breaking through. Hello and welcome back to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm your host, Eric Collier, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and thank you again for joining us for this episode of Leadership Optimization, where we're diving into the secrets of uncovering our full leadership capability so that we can really create momentum shifts in our organization, in our family, or just in our lives in general. So when we talk about leadership optimization, the first thing we got to do is look at the things that might be holding us back, or ask the question, what's holding me back from achieving my full leadership potential? And that's a key question, because we got to look at the blind spots. So let me ask you, what's holding you back from achieving your leadership potential? Here's what I wanted to share with you. There's a story that I love, and that is the story of Christopher Gardner, who is the CEO, or somebody you know as The Pursuit of Happiness was his movie, as his book, is his story. And as you know, he was homeless. He lived in shelters, and he also slept in the bathrooms of the metro stations or on the train with his son sometimes. And what he did was he basically shifted his mindset. He took a look at where he was in his life, and he decided this is wasn't where I wanted to be. He wanted to lead a better life. And so in doing that, he decided to tap into what was holding him back. And what was holding him back was simply taking his shot. And so he took his shot at becoming a stockbroker. He worked as an intern, a unpaid intern, and he was actually in a program where he wasn't even sure if he's going to have a job once it was over. But he busted his butt. He went out there and made it happen. And as a result, he changed his life. He not only did he become a paid stockbroker, he became a successful stockbroker, eventually opening his own firm and selling it for multi-millions of dollars. So, how did he do that? Well, it started with him developing a clear vision of what it was he wanted to do. He took a look at where he was in his life, and he realized this is not where I wanted to be. This is not what how I want to live. This is not how I want my son to live. And he just made a decision at that point. I got to do something different. And sometimes making a decision to do something different, you can live in a life or do something and believe that you're happy. Until that moment, you find yourself in a different environment and you see people who are really happy. And that's what kicked it off from him. He actually found himself in an area where stockbrokers were going to work, coming in and out of the building, and he noticed the happiness on their faces, the joy as they walked into the building and coming out of the building. And then he saw a gentleman with a car that he liked. So those things woke him up to the fact that, hey, there's got to be something better than what I'm doing. And from that, he started digging into finding out what it was they were doing and understanding how he could become a stockbroker as well. So developing a clear vision that you're no longer where you want to be, you no longer want to be where you are, and that there's something out there for you is going to be key to really unlocking those blind spots. Unlocking those blind spots. And then something he did. I told you he was homeless. He lived in the shelter. He had to go to work as an intern, bust his butt, and get off of work at a certain time, or he wouldn't get a room in the shelter. And that's why he would find him and his son sleeping on the metro train, sleeping in the bathroom on the metro station. So he embraced the fact that he had to be resilient and he had to adapt to the changing situations he was in, because he got kicked out of his apartment. He got kicked out of the hotel he was staying in. He had no place to go. He was walking around with his clothes that he wore every day, the same suit every day. And so that was key, embracing resiliency. A lot of people want change, but they're not willing to go through the things that you had to get it. You see, you've got to dig deep. You got to have a mindset that says, look, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen, and nobody's going to stop me. One of the mantras that I live by is I just keep pushing because no one's going to do it for you. And that's what you got to do. You got to take on that mindset and be resilient, be able to bounce back every time something happens so that you can really experience a momentum shift, because that's how it works. Just because you get knocked down once, you don't give up. You got to keep fighting. You got to adapt, adjust, and overcome. And eventually you'll create the wins that you need to create the momentum in your life. You got to understand that where you are now is only temporary. Here's what I like. This whole thing about leadership optimization is about what John Maxwell calls elevating our lid, our leadership lid. And what he means by that is, if you think about the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and he said, if you think about your leadership ability, where you are right now as a leader, let's say it's a level 3 leader or 4 leader. Well, if you put your hand at the parallel at your chest and you set it there, and then you take your other hand and you start bumping your hand, the back of that hand up against it. Well, if you're a level 4 leader, this other hand being your organization, this other hand being your team, this other hand being your community or whatever it is that you're leading, the program, project, whatever it is, the best it'll ever be is a 3, maybe a 4, but it'll never be a 5, 6, or 7, which is what you want to be successful. So you've got to elevate your mindset into believing that you've got to become a better leader. And that's what leadership optimization is. Thinking back to what Christopher Gardner did when he interviewed with the owner and the managers or the leaders of the brokerage, they asked him if he knew anything about stockbroker. No, he did not, but he told him, I've been working on it and learning on my own well before this. That's the drive. That's the determination you have to have. Work all day, whether you got 1 or 2 jobs, and then put the time in afterwards to learn, to elevate your life. That's going to be key. Understanding that you got to be under construction for life, working on yourself to be able to maximize your full potential and elevate your leadership level. So get it. Understand this. Through your resourcefulness and your passion for what it is you want to accomplish, being determined, you can lead by example and turn failures into learning opportunities. You can lead by example and turn a life you're not happy with or organization you're not happy with into one that is successful, one that has working to unlock potential of those involved, the team, your organization, your managers, your supervisors, your other leaders. You can unlock their full potential as well simply by leading by example and letting people know, I care about you. I want to help you. You can trust me. Those things are going to be key because that's what all they want to know. Do you care about me? Can you trust me? Can you help me? Yes, I can. And you start connecting with those members and they'll start following you as the leader that you are because you're putting in the work, you're growing, you're producing, and you're developing people. Those are going to be key for you. So let me ask you this. What if you could do what Christopher Gardner did? How would that change your life? How would that change your organization? Think about it for a second, because just because it's been done doesn't mean you can't do it too, right? It can happen for you, but you've got to become that individual who's resilient, who's determined, who's under construction for life. That's how you're going to unlock the true leadership capability that's in you. So what else did Christopher Gardner do? Well, I won't even talk about Christopher Gardner anymore. I'm going to leave him alone. But when I think about what you're doing, right, you've got to re-energize the vision inside of you. You know, sometimes we get stuck in life and we're working on ourselves to get to a certain level. We've gone to school, we've gotten certifications, we've got degrees, and we've gotten a job, we've got this leadership position, and we stop. Why is that? Well, you got to ask yourself the question, what drives the purpose and vision that I have as a leader? Well, the good question you got to ask too is, do you have a purpose and vision as a leader for your team, for your company, for your organization, for your family, right? Think about this. You know, you're not just leading as leading an organization. You're leading a life of happiness. You're leading a life of success. You're leading a life of meaning and fulfillment. You're leading a corporation. You're leading an organization. You're leading something in your life. More importantly, you're leading you. So when you think about what drives you, if you don't have anything driving you, you'll stop learning. You'll stop moving forward. You'll become stagnant and you will lose momentum in your life. So the one thing you've got to do is identify what drives my purpose and my vision as a leader. So I want to give you this one. I like this story as well. If in 1997, Apple rehired Steve Jobs. You know, Steve Jobs created Apple, right? And not only that, he was really moving it forward, and they fired him. Well, what they realized was that sales dropped. They didn't have the creativity anymore. They wasn't really accomplishing what they thought was going to happen without him. And so they decided to bring him back. Now, when they brought him back, his creativity elevated. His passion was stronger. And Steve Jobs came back. It just took Apple to another level.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.